Faithful, take a breath. Today brings headlines that shake the board in Santa Clara. A seasoned piece from the market might become the final lock in our back end. An offensive star might be ready or not to suit up right away, and the staff's choices speak volumes. A recent addition may look simple, but it changes the math for January, and there's a quiet decision behind the scenes that explains why no one in the Northwest will sleep easy. You won't believe what we've got today. So grab a seat, drop a like, and let's dive straight into the news. Ready? Have you ever felt like a veteran solution hits the market and seems tailor-made for our locker room? That's the vibe. A defender who organizes the house, reads the quarterback off receiver alignments, points out adjustments without fanfare, and when the ball goes up, he's a step ahead. Not a promise, consistency. He isn't rushing to sign, he wants a championship project. And for a roster aiming at January, that matters. It's the presence that changes the tone of the week, the huddle and the decisive snap, the kind of confidence the crowd recognizes on the first third down. That profile has a name, Justin Simmons, the best free agent available. Last year with the Atlanta Falcons, he proved he still delivers at a high level. 2 interceptions, 7 passes defended, and above all, vocal leadership. What separates Simmons is whiteboard intelligence that shows up on the field. He reads splits, identifies reduced formations, adjusts safety depth, fixes the nickel's leverage, and anticipates concepts before the snap. It's not just range, it's timing. He sees the route being born and shrinks the window like few can. In the 49ers fit, the importance is obvious. Clean communication between levels and coverage versatility. With Simmons, you can shift from cover 3 to quarters match without tipping tells, rotate late to muddy the first read, and use situational robbers to hunt that third and long dig. That stretches an opposing quarterback's progression and gives the front a bonus second to win. Result, fewer explosives over the middle, more third downs won, more punts in tight games. The ripple effect is real. Reliable safeties free the linebackers to play more aggressively in the hook/curl and give corners permission to challenge the ball without fear of a bust. For young guys like Jair Brown, it's a daily masterclass. Pursuit angles, check communication, 2-minute vision. In Santa Clara, the culture is demanding but fair. Simmons speaks that language. He raises the standard Tuesday through Saturday, and it shows on Sunday. There's also the market layer. Simmons has made it clear he'll choose a contender and a role that makes sense. For the 49ers, the conversation runs through a defined role, cap structure that's smart, and incentives tied to the playoffs. The investment isn't cheap, but the return is tangible. A healthier turnover margin, fewer long drives allowed, short fields for the offense, and most importantly, confidence to close in January. In an NFC with QBs who live in the intermediate game, a safety who compresses windows changes the math. Picture it. Red zone, motion is eye candy. The quarterback thinks he's got the seam. The rotation lags by half a beat. The window opens a hand's width and slams. Outstretched arm, deflection that saves points, or a pick. The stadium becomes a cauldron. The clock turns ally, and the offensive playbook breathes with an extra possession. That's how contenders stack one-score wins. And there's a detail the faithful feel in their bones. When the secondary is talking, the whole defense runs on the same beat. The ball feels lighter, tackles land cleaner, and diagnoses are instant. And that wasn't even the most surprising part of the day. Yellow light flashing and heart rate up. The signs in Santa Clara point one way, but the final answer lives in one person. The locker room felt the energy on Friday, and the staff made decisions that speak loudly without saying a word. Christian McCaffrey practiced in a limited capacity, shut himself down on Thursday, skipped Friday's walkthrough, and even so, the public read his cautious optimism. You can believe, but no one will stamp it before hearing it from number 23 himself. Outside chatter fueled hope. A national reporter said signs are pointing to McCaffrey playing. That's not a direct quote, it's a read of the situation. The clearest sign came internally. There was no elevation of Sincere McCormick from the practice squad. Message that the base plan considers 3 active running backs on game day. Instead, they elevated wide receiver Russell Gage and linebacker Curtis Robinson. The math is simple. If McCaffrey sits, the team rolls with only 2 healthy RBs, Brian Robinson Jr. and Isaac Guerendo. Bold? Yes. Viable? Also yes. And here is where the faithful hold their breath. McCaffrey knows his body as well as anyone, and will hit pause if he feels any calf discomfort. A history like this demands caution. A poorly managed calf becomes a domino effect. Alters leverage, shortens the stride, and opens the door to Achilles trouble. Week 1 of a marathon isn't the moment for bravado. The project is February, not just September. Available doesn't equal 30 touches. Tactically, there are ways to balance ambition and prudence. With McCaffrey active on a pitch count, Kyle Shanahan can modulate usage in situations situational packages. Red zone, short yardage, 2-minute drill, and play action looks that weaponize the defense's respect for his presence. Pony personnel creates conflict and adjustments. Open slants for Ayuk and in-breakers for Debo, with heavy motion. If his burst isn't at 100, swap some inside zone for gap with a pulling guard, use toss crack to leverage angles, and feed screens that reduce direct contact. The key is keeping the pre-snap theater identical so the opponent doesn't read his health level in the first drive. If the red light turns on, Plan B has to look like Plan A. That's exactly why Brian Robinson Jr. arrived. Consistent north-south, ball security, absorbs contact, sustains series. Alongside Garendo, you can hammer gap schemes, alternate with patient outside zone, and wear down Seattle's front. The key is not losing identity. Under center, play action under the same roof, and the carousel of shifts and motions that spreads defensive responsibilities thin. Risk management also includes pass protection. If McCaffrey is active, selective chip blocks reduce the need for long routes and protect the calf. If he isn't, Robinson can absorb part of that role, anchoring the edge against late blitzes and freeing Purdy to play in rhythm. First read set by formation, second with a safe check down. Throw it away when the down allows. Drives without unnecessary hits are invisible wins in September. The emotional side matters. The faithful want to see 23 flying, but they remember last year's film and prefer safety over fireworks. Online, the debate's been boiling. Some want to side in warm-ups. Others argue hold him and preserve him. In the locker room, the message is unified. The player only goes if he can be himself. That doesn't mean 25 touches, it means efficiency in the day's role. If it's 10 touches that tilt the defense's angles, great. If it's 0 and the committee plan hums, that's fine too. There's also the opponent read. Seattle's prepping 2 plans, one for full-strength McCaffrey, another for committee. In both, respect for the ground game opens the shutters for intermediate play action, where Purdy is surgical. The challenge is maintaining tempo without predictability, varied snap cadence, quick huddle denying substitutions, late motions forcing last-second rotations. One tiny hesitation already opens the window for the dig. If they drop the big safety, the shot over the top stays on the shelf. Put it all on the scale. It's week 1, but the decisions ring like January. Pushing past the limit would be reckless. Trusting the depth you built is a contender's privilege. If McCaffrey says I can go, the staff will craft impact with low attrition. If he says no, the mission doesn't change. Dominate possession, control the ground, win the details, and leave the Northwest with the right message. And that wasn't even the most surprising part of the day. Not every addition needs a front-page headline to change a locker room. Sometimes the quiet move reveals itself as visionary when the season starts to take shape. That's what happened with the arrival of Brian Robinson Jr., and the realization hits right in week 1. The focus seemed to be on getting younger, using all 11 draft picks, and betting on youth. But the front office kept a strategic card up its sleeve. Bring in someone ready to tote the rock with authority when the health of the unit's biggest star turned into a question. Premonition, cold planning. McCaffrey came off a clean, healthy offseason, radiating confidence. September, though, brought back the ghost. A calf limited him in practices, a recurrence the faithful know well. The 2024 déjà vu showed up way too early. What looked like a minor limitation on paper became back-to-back missed sessions, and suddenly the touch distribution turned into a concern. The question isn't just if he plays, it's how he plays, how many snaps he can handle, and whether the workload compromises him long-term. While uncertainty lingers, Robinson surfaces as the perfect antidote. Here's where the front office earns its flowers. It's not just depth, it's functional depth. Robinson isn't a roster extra. 37 starts, a north-south runner's frame, the ability to absorb contact and secure the ball. He's the piece that keeps the scheme upright even if McCaffrey isn't at 100%. And in Shanahan's system, a disciplined running back who reads blocks and respects the timing of the play is like oxygen. Invisible until it's missing, decisive when it clicks. The genius of the move reveals itself in the chronology. The deal went down weeks before the injury surfaced, when most called it a luxury. Today it looks like an insurance policy. Without Robinson, the conversation would be desperation, reliance on banged-up rookies, last-minute improvisation, and a clipped game plan. With Robinson, it's continuity. Playbook preserved, identity intact, and diluted pressure. The opposing defense doesn't breathe easy just because McCaffrey isn't on the field. It still respects the box because Robinson runs with legitimacy. That changes defensive calls, keeps linebackers honest, and opens the air game. There's a psychological layer too. The locker room sees the front office isn't playing around. The rotation's been mapped for every scenario. That injects confidence. Linemen block, knowing the run will develop. The quarterback plays with less weight on his shoulders, and the team understands each unit has a fallback. The fan base, meanwhile, swings between frustration at McCaffrey's recurrence and relief that there's a robust plan B. And on social, a mantra is already echoing. Good thing we went and got the right guy. Strategically, the move also enables star management. Robinson can shoulder volume in high-attrition games, preserving McCaffrey for high-leverage moments, decisive drives, division matchups, elimination games. It's chess that balances health and competitiveness. The staff doesn't have to pick between risking it or sacrificing identity. It has the resources to balance both.
And the timing reinforces the image of a front office that sees around corners. A draft loaded with youth, a surgical injection of experience at a critical point, and the result is a roster less vulnerable to randomness. When everyone was saying few moves, the 49ers were actually polishing stability. The payoff could arrive on the very first Sunday, because if McCaffrey doesn't strap up, Robinson doesn't enter as a patch. He enters as a planned solution, and that completely changes the narrative. But hold up, because what comes next is even more unbelievable. Sometimes genius doesn't show up under the press conference lights or in a blockbuster trade headline, but at the exact moment when contingency knocks, the trade for Brian Robinson Jr. is exactly that. Without him, the landscape would be bleak. Jordan Mason gone, rookies like Garendo and Jordan James sidelined for most of camp, and a backfield reduced to improvisation. With him, the script flips from extreme risk to a solid plan. Robinson arrives with a starter's resume, more than 30 games sustaining drives in Washington and a track record of dependability. He isn't the league's most explosive back, but he's the kind of piece that guarantees consistency in the run game. His north-south style offers positive predictability, steady gains, attrition on the opposing line, and offensive rhythm. It's the presence that, even without highlight plays, keeps the playbook alive and lets the offense operate on its identity. The difference is stark. Without him, Shanahan would be redrawing plans. With him, he's tweaking rotations. Of course, there's an integration curve. Robinson's barely had time to memorize every nuance of the system, but the 49ers' history integrating mid-season additions is encouraging. Remember McCaffrey in 2022, who landed and quickly became a focal point, or Emmanuel Sanders in 2019, who slotted right into the passing machine. Shanahan's manual is demanding but clear. When talent is disciplined, adaptation accelerates. Robinson fits that mold, methodical pro, quick block reader, patient enough to let the lane open. If this move hadn't happened, the team would be in panic mode, improvising roles or betting on rookies who aren't ready. With every snap, the implosion risk would climb. The acquisition worked like installing an emergency parachute. It may not dazzle, but it ensures a safe flight through turbulence. For a contender, that safety is gold. Playing with the calm that the machine won't collapse without a star is what separates good teams from true title threats. The faithful already feel it. Online chatter shifted from "we're lost without McCaffrey" to "we still have a sustainable attack." That changes the stadium vibe, rewires expectations at kickoff, and even fuels the defense, which takes the field knowing the offense will sustain series and won't let the game slip for lack of options. The psychological impact is real. Collective confidence is invisible fuel, and the 49ers once again seem to have read the board early. The front office didn't just react, it anticipated. That's why the entire NFC now looks at Santa Clara with even more respect. Niner family, breathe with me, because the news marathon closes with a goosebump finish. What we saw today went beyond market moves or injury reports. It was the portrait of a franchise that refuses to be caught off guard. Simmons can be the general in the secondary. McCaffrey is the heartbeat that needs care. Robinson is already proving to be the perfect insurance policy, and the front office showed it doesn't play around when it comes to planning. The question is, do you believe this roster is finally fortified for February? Then sound off in the comments, subscribe, and let's ride together to the end.